In this episode, we will uncover the mysterious and heartbreaking case of Sarah Rares. A young mother was discovered dead in her own house. Detectives thought the answer was obvious from the very beginning of the case. But the more they dug, the stranger and more confusing things they found. There was a big surprise when they finally found out the truth. Even the most experienced detectives were shocked. Sarah Williamson was born in Florida on June 20, 1963. Because her dad was in the Army, the family lived on a military base for a while before settling down in Albuquerque, New Mexico. While she was in school, Sarah quickly became known for her skills in math. Turned out that she had a very high IQ and she got great grades with almost no work. The books she liked to read most were crime stories, and by the end of high school, she was already thinking about writing her own. Also, she was active and friendly, had lots of friends, and adored spending time with her bigger sister. She went to a university not far from Albuquerque after high school and got a degree in math. So she could study. She met a guy named Cohen, and when they were both done with school, they got married. Sarah was going to get her master's degree in statistics, but she got a great job offer at a military base instead. She and her husband moved to Maryland and she got a job as a statistical analyst with the National Security Agency. Sarah quickly showed that she was a skilled problem solver who could handle any size task. It was a big step forward in her career. At about the same time, she started writing her own crime book about a mathematician who solves a murder. Sarah's marriage to her husband started to fall apart after 3 years, and in the end, they agreed to get a divorce. She kept working at the NSA and also chose to finally get her master's degree in statistics. Sarah started going to Johns Hopkins University in the evenings and met a student named Lorenzo there. She was 27 years old and he was 25. Lorenzo was going to school to get a degree in business and finance. He had been married before, just like Sarah. They started going out together, and when Sarah finished her master's, she married him. They moved to Elkridge, a wealthy neighborhood just outside of Baltimore where they stayed. After 3 years, they had a son. But Lorenzo started to pull away from his family almost as soon as he was born. His behavior changed a great deal. He started to watch Sarah's every move and didn't seem to care much about their child. Sarah finally chose to start the divorce process. Lorenzo went back to living with his parents who were close by. They decided that their son would stay with them on the weekends, and with Sarah the rest of the time. Sarah was 35 years old and her son had just turned 1. Thursday, November 13, 1998, she dropped him off at Lorenzo's house. The next day, she went to see her best friend, Laura. Laura thought Sarah would call her when she woke up on Sunday morning because they had planned to talk. But Sarah never did. She didn't answer when Laura tried to call her. Laura then saw that she had a message waiting for her. It was left at 8:46 p.m. the night before, while she was already sound asleep. After that, you had to call in to listen to your message to see who had called. Laura thought it might be Sarah though, so she pressed play. She was horrified when she heard chaos on the queue. First as strange noises, and then as a woman screaming and a fight. It seemed like someone was being attacked right now. Laura called the cops right away because she was scared.
It seemed like
Officers
someone was being
were sent to
attacked
her
right
house
now.
to check
Laura
on Sarah
called the
after she
officers
asked
were
them
sent
to.
to her house
Their
to
first
check on
thought
Sarah
was that the
after
window
she
next
asked
to
them
the front door was broken, but the door was locked, and when they knocked, no one answered. They went around the building until they found the back sliding glass door that wasn't locked and went inside. Right away, the fact that the alarm system on that door was still set off stood out. This didn't make any sense. The warning should have gone off if someone broke in through the front door. They saw something horrible when they walked into the living room. Sarah's body was all over the floor in a huge pool of blood. It was all over the walls, the furniture, and even the roof. Officers quickly searched the rest of the house for Sarah's baby because they were afraid the worst. They thought he might have been kidnapped right away because they didn't know he was with his father. While officers worked on cleaning up the crime scene, Sarah's body was sent to the medical examiner. They knew right away that the killer had probably broken the front window to get in. Alarms were also wired to that window, but the sensor was on the frame, so it would only go off if the window was opened. It didn't go off when I broke the glass. Bloody prints on the window showed that the burglar also used it to leave. Investigators saw something strange inside. The VCR wasn't there. Someone had taken all the VHS tapes out of a drawer in the living room and spread them out on the floor. While someone was looking for something, every cabinet door in the kitchen was thrown open. At first glance, it looked like a break-in, but police quickly began to doubt that. Sarah's laptop and cash were on the kitchen table, but not being used. It seemed like the scene had been set up to look like a break-in, but there was a much darker reason behind it. The autopsy made that idea even stronger. Sarah had cut wounds all over her body from multiple stab wounds. The amount of violence alone suggested that he was very angry or hateful towards her. Also, police couldn't figure out why the killer broke the front window. The back of the house, which faced the woods, would have been a much better way to get in without drawing attention to itself. They thought the attacker might have known how the alarm system worked and knew that breaking the glass in the back door would probably set it off. Forensics didn't find any fingerprints or other strong proof that could be used. There was so much blood that they could only pick it up and hope that somewhere in the mess they could find the killer's DNA if he had cut himself during the brutal attack. While this was going on, police searched the garden and found what they thought was the murder weapon: a machete. Later, forensics proved that Sarah's wounds were exactly the same as the ones on the body. While the experts looked at the proof, detectives made sure that Sarah's son was safe with his dad. Now that they didn't have to think about that, they talked to Sarah's family and friends. They wanted to know if she had been in any fights before she died. But every person said the same thing. Sarah was friendly and never got into fights with other people. The only person who wasn't was her ex-husband Lorenzo. Laura, Sarah's best friend, told the police that the breakup had been hard. Lorenzo's behavior changed a lot after their son was born. He used to take antidepressants, but after the baby was born, he stopped. After that, Sarah saw that he wasn't interested in spending time with her boy. That wasn't all, though. Lorenzo also became bossy and watched her every move. Sarah thought he was mad at her for spending more time with their baby than with him over time. After Sarah went back to work, Lorenzo began to say that she was having an affair with her boss. He even went to her place of work. Since she worked for the NSA, his claims led to a full-scale internal investigation in which dozens of employees were questioned. In the end, detectives couldn't find any proof to support what he said. Lorenzo still wouldn't let it go. He even pulled a gun on Sarah during one of their fights. That's when she lost it, and she asked for a divorce. He tried to hit her while she was holding their baby when he found out. Lorenzo grabbed the child and left as Sarah fell. After dropping the baby off at his parents' house, he told Sarah she had to sleep with him or never see her boy again. Sarah then went straight to the cops and got an order to keep him away, but nothing else happened. After that, she only saw him in court when they were fighting over custody or on the weekends when she took their son to Lorenzo's parents' house. Because the court said he had visiting rights, Lorenzo tried to get his son a passport so he could leave the country at one point, but the court stopped him. Later, Sarah's sister said that Sarah had called her the day before the murder and told her she was really scared of Lorenzo. Before the court made a clear decision about who would have custody of their son, she was afraid he would hurt her. Sarah even asked her sister to take care of the child if something happened to her. She didn't want Lorenzo to raise the kid. That was enough to make the police want to look into Lorenzo more. So they went to talk to him. When they told him Sarah had been found dead, he got down on his knees, put his hands over his face and began screaming. Investigators started to question him after he cooled down. Lorenzo denied having anything to do with it and suggested that they look into her boss, saying that Sarah was seeing him with someone else. He said he was at home that night and his whole family believed him. Detectives were aware the kind of excuse wasn't very strong. Family members could easily take care of him. Their DNA and fingerprints were taken and they looked for cuts that could have been caused by a fight, but he didn't have any. Then they got a warrant to search Lorenzo's house and car, but they found nothing. There was no blood, no shoes that matched the prints found in Sarah's house or any other proof that he did it. Lorenzo got a strong defense lawyer in the end, which made the detectives change their aim. They went to see Sarah's old boss, but he had already left the NSA and moved away by that time. When the NSA found out that Sarah had been killed, they sent their own team to work with the local cops to look into the case. When they talked to Sarah's old boss, he claimed again that their relationship had been strictly business. That night of the murder, he said, he was having dinner with friends in a different state, and that story matched up.
The message Sarah left for her friend during the attack was the only real lead the police had. So they tried to get more information from it. They thought they heard the killer's voice, but they heard
something else. Police thought they could hear Sarah screaming the name Mike after the tape was cleaned up. That was a red flag right away because Lorenzo's brother was named Michelangelo, but went by the name Mike. He said that he was home the night Sarah was killed because he lived with Lorenzo and their parent. Detectives started to think that Mike might have killed the child himself, maybe to keep the kid in the family. He said he couldn't hear his name on the extra tape when they played it for him while asking him. To be fair, the idea was already questionable because the recording was so fuzzy that you couldn't make out any clear words even after it was cleaned up. Mike said he had nothing to do with the killings. While they were questioning him, however, officers saw that he was clearly shaking. When they drove him home, he threw up as soon as he got out of the car. Since everything seemed fishy, the head detective gave him his number and told him to call him if he ever was ready to tell the truth. Lorenzo's lawyer, on the other hand, called the cops and told them that from now on they could only talk to his brother when a lawyer was present. After that, police checked out Sarah's first husband and Lorenzo's ex-wife, but neither was found to be involved. The police asked Lorenzo's ex-wife if she would be willing to help them,
and she said yes.
Her phone was tapped by the police, and she called Lorenzo.
She tried very hard to get him to say something new, but he stuck to his original story and insisted he had no idea who killed Sarah. There was another idea that had to do with Sarah's job at the NSA.
Detectives couldn't say for sure that this wasn't a reason because she had access to secret information. A special NSA team looked into it, though, and came to the conclusion that her work had nothing to do with the crime. The lab finally finished going through all the evidence from Sarah's house a month after the murder. In 3 different blood samples, they found DNA from a man who had not been named. Detectives matched it to Lorenzo's DNA right away, but to their surprise, it didn't match. His brother and father were the same way. The blood didn't come from any of them. Police were shocked by this turn of events because they were almost certain Lorenzo was involved. But now that the DNA pointed to a different man, it wasn't so clear that he was guilty. There were no other clues, so it was impossible to figure out who the real killer was. The case didn't move for months. The police kept looking, even checking the area for known repeat criminals. But nothing was found. After that, they sent the voicemail tape to the FBI where professionals could clean it up better. It turned out that Sarah hadn't said anything about Mike. There was only a scream that kept going for 7 months until the case took a shocking turn. All of a sudden, the lead officer got a call from the Baltimore County Police Department on June 1, 1999. A police officer told them that one of their prisoners had just admitted to killing Sarah. Ardale Tickles, 19, was the prisoner. He had been caught 3 months before for robbing a McDonald's with a gun. He told his cellmate that he had killed a woman in her own home while he was in jail waiting for his trial. The cellmate quickly made a deal with the police, put on a wire and began asking Ardale about the murder. Ardale said he got into the house through a window and used a knife to hurt the victim. The way he talked about her injuries made it clear to the police that he was talking about Sarah. In fact, he told me the exact date and time of the murder. He told everyone that he wanted his victim to suffer as much as possible and that she died while he hid her. Ardell finally gave a killer answer when his cellmate asked him why he did what he did. His ex-coworker paid him $5,000 to kill her, he said. Investigators were sure he wasn't lying when he said he was the killer. In his statement, he said things that had never been made public before. The chief officer went straight to the jail to talk to him. He told Ardell that he would be charged with first-degree murder and made it clear that they already had a taped statement of his, so he should start talking. Ardell didn't say anything wrong. He said he killed the woman even though he didn't know her name. He also said he didn't feel bad about what he did because he thought Sarah was a bad person. He said that the person who hired him the first time told him that Sarah had spit in the face and pushed a pregnant black woman down a flight of stairs. Ardell also said that he only got $3,000 instead of the $5,000 he was promised, but he didn't care about the money as much as punishing her for what he said she did. At that point, the police put out 3 pictures of Lorenzo, his brother and his father. They then asked Ardell which one of them hired him. Ardell was shocked that he didn't know any of them. He said that the person who hired him wasn't a man at all, but a lady. He didn't know her name though. That made me wonder even more. He worked with this woman, but he had no idea who she was. What kind of woman would want Sarah dead? But one thing was clear. This woman knew Sarah very well. A few days before the murder, she drove Ardell to Sarah's house and told him that Saturday would be the best day to attack because Sarah would be home alone. She even told him how her alarm system worked and told him not to mess with it, so the neighbors wouldn't hear anything. Now that they had a new clue, agents turned their attention to finding the woman who was behind it all. Ardell had worked as a laundry worker in a nursing home in Baltimore, so the cops looked at the list of employees in the hopes that he would recognize someone. What they found, though, was much more shocking. One name on the list made them know right away who the strange woman was. Amelia was her name, and she was Lorenzo's mom. When the police went back to the jail, they showed Ardell a picture of Amelia. Without any doubt, he said that she was the one who hired him.
It really shocked him when he found out that Amelia wasn't just a stranger. She was Sarah's spouse's mother. He told her that Amelia often brought the boy to work, and he thought she was just watching the kid.
Ardell was shocked when he found out that the boy was actually Sarah's son. He said the only reason he agreed to kill Sarah was because he thought she was racist, and wanted to punish her for that. He knew now, though, that he had been tricked from the start. He was the only one who had already done what he had done. Also, the officers still had a big job to do. Amelia wasn't locked up just because Ardell told the truth. To prove she planned the murder, they needed hard proof. Detectives talked to people who worked at the nursing home and found a woman who was willing to help them in exchange for being completely protected. To help Ardell become a killer, she told them. He had asked her to rent a car for him on the day of the murder because he was too young to do it himself. She believed he was kidding and agreed with him. But Ardell brought the rental back a few hours later and his boots were covered in blood. It was after he got rid of the devil that he asked her for help. They took him to an empty lot and set fire to his bloody boot. 2 cops stopped them on their way back to the car. The police searched the car and even found a bloody knife handle under the seat. They could have arrested both of them, but instead, they just took the knife and left. As they looked deeper, they found that Sarah's mother-in-law had taken out $2,500 in cash just a few weeks before the murder. Soon after, Ardell put almost the same amount of money into his own bank account. This made it impossible to ignore the link. The DNA from Ardell and the DNA from the knife were a perfect match when they were compared in the lab. That was enough to prove he killed someone. The police then went after Amelia right away. She was taken to the station and called Lorenzo. He didn't even ask her why she was probably going to jail. He reacted in a strangely calm way. Amelia then wouldn't answer any more questions and asked to be represented by a lawyer. The lead detective chose to lie because he knew that the information they had might not be enough to get someone convicted. He told her that they would never see the child again if they found proof that Lorenzo knew about the killings. She sat in that room for several hours before giving up. She gave up her right to a lawyer and told the police she was ready to admit.
She told him that she had never really liked Sarah and believed that she was rude. Following the birth of the child,
things grew
worse.
Never
paid attention
Sarah
to
never
Amelia
paid
when
attention
she
to
said
Amelia when she said she thought Sarah wasn't raising him right. The tension kept growing over the next few months, and they fought more and more often. Amelia was scared she would never see her grandson again when Sarah finally filed for divorce. That's when she lost it. She wanted to get back at Sarah, but she said she never meant for Sarah to be killed. Amelia says that she quietly told Ardell at work how upset she was, and he told her she needed to get back at Sarah for being rude. He even said he would help and take care of it. Amelia said Ardell told her he was just going to scare Sarah by throwing rocks at her house. Detectives didn't believe that story, especially since Amelia had paid him a lot of money for something as small as throwing some stones across the room. Amelia finally said that no one else in her family, not even Lorenzo, knew about her participation. Investigators never found any proof that wasn't true. Lawyers for the government sent the case to court. Ardell was the first person to go to court. He said Amelia had lied to him and got him to kill a woman who wasn't guilty. He even said that he had been praying for Sarah and her family for months, but the judges didn't change their minds. So he was given a life sentence without the chance of parole. Amelia's hearing started in January 2000, but none of her family members showed up. There was a lot of proof against her, even though her lawyer tried to say there wasn't enough to directly link her to the murder. She was also given a life term with no chance of parole in the end. On appeal in 2009, she said Sarah didn't deserve to die and that she had forgiven her a long time before. This questionable comment didn't change anything. The original sentence stood. Sarah's son, on the other hand, kept living with his dad. Lorenzo got married again in the end and had 3 more children. He died on February 8, 2023 and was 57 years old. Amelia is still serving her life term, even though she is 89 years old now. Ardell was finally able to get parole, but when he tried to get it in 2024, it was turned down. He is still in jail right now. Thank you for watching this true crime case. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments, and make sure to like and subscribe for more stories. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.